dad was like, he said, yeah, like don't expect to like have that every single game, because I think he just thought we were playing a bad team or something. He thought I got lucky, and then the next game we played, I had like 3 carries for like 115 yards and 3 more touchdowns. And then they moved me to quarterback. I was like, yeah, suck it, dad.
We welcome you to TWI Interviews. I'm your host, Ike, along with David Big D3 Youngs. We welcome special guest Travis Toivonen. Travis, on a scale of 1 to 10, how special of a guest do you think you are?
I don't even know how to answer that question. I would say pretty special. I mean, we got the brother relationship right here. Known D Youngs for a few years, so
yeah.
Travis, I can remember when I first met you. It was on I would say a partly cloudy Saturday morning at Concordia College. We were in the parking lot. It just happened to be Cornstalk, Concordia's marquee event, and what a beautiful time that was. And from that day on, I knew you were a man that I could trust.
Yep, gotta love spending time with those cobbers.
We're good people.
I remember when I was in 8th grade, you were in 6th grade, Travis. You were playing 6th grade football. And I remember watching on the sideline with Matt Schultz, and you went off. You had like 4 tutties. And I remember Schultz like looked at me and he was like, yep, can't wait for that. Or said something like that. Like you were just like running by kids. And I'm like, dang, Travis is really good at football. And then later went home with you and we were gaming, playing COD, and you blasted like a 2.84 KD over the whole night. So you were just a beast on the field, off the field as well. Where do you get all that success? Is it all through hard work?
I would say a lot through hard work. I mean, probably some through genetics. Shout out to parents. We're all pretty good athletes. Myself, you, and Marissa all won Red Wing High School Athlete of the Year in our respective years. But yeah, I remember teaching you how to quick scope on Call of Duty. So that was pretty cool. That's my claim to Isaac's success. Modern Warfare 2 on the PlayStation 3. That was nice. But yeah, I remember that. I remember after that first game in 6th grade, I think I had like it was probably like 5 carries and for 4 touchdowns because I was playing running back. And then we like went home that night and like dad was like, he said, yeah, like don't expect to like have that every single game. Because I think he just thought we were playing a bad team or something. He thought I got lucky. And then the next game we played, I had like 3 carries for like 115 yards and 3 more touchdowns. And then they moved me to quarterback. I was like, yeah, suck it, dad. He'll probably watch this and be like, why'd you have to beg on me?
So Travis, obviously you and Isaac, you go way back. Obviously it's a brotherly love relationship. Both successful athletes. Obviously one of the brothers was a bit more successful than the other. But spent a lot of time with Isaac in the house in beautiful Red Wing, Minnesota growing up. And I feel like with every brother dynamic, there is, some mature faster than others, some, whether it comes to friendships, dating, social situations. And I feel like a lot of that lies on just that person in general and what they wear. And I think one of the ways that you look into it is, how long, basically what I'm asking is, was Isaac that brother that wore tighty whities till he was a freshman or sophomore in high school? How long did he stick those out? Because I feel like there's always in a brother relationship, there's one of the brothers that is still rocking the tighty whities till high school, and I feel like Isaac's that guy.
Bro,
I think there's one.
Bro, dude, I gotta step in here, bro. I never wore whitey tighties.
No, that's what I was gonna say. I was like gonna say there's one thing, like Isaac does not care about clothes and he doesn't care about other people's clothes. So like when we were growing up, he would probably, I mean, if we're the same size, he would like wear his boxers until he got a hole in them, and then he'd probably just take mine and start wearing those. He just like wouldn't care. He would wear his socks like inside out. Like, what are you doing? You know how like the socks will have the little gray part for the heel? He would have that like on the top of his foot. Just an absolute psychopath.
I mean, what do you have to say about? So I played doubles with Isaac for 3 years or for 2 years. What normal / cool college kid wears quarter socks. Like, I understand once you hit the young professional life, quarter socks are fine. This guy wore high socks are cool. No shows are cool. This guy wore quarter socks in every single college tennis match that I ever played with him.
I will say, I think the socks, like the sock trend has been kind of changing. Like when I was in high school, the Nike Elite socks were kind of in. And I do think a lot of kids are now going down to like the ankle socks or the no shows. Like I'm just thinking of like high school basketball, for example. But yeah, Isaac definitely rocked the ankle socks, which I don't blame him. I've had some times where I'll have like the no show socks and they'll slip down over my heel and then I'll start rubbing and get blisters. And that's about the worst case scenario. So if you don't want to commit to the high socks, you might as well just go with those ankle socks. And you might not look the best, but if you beat them 0-0, they're not going to care. You're not going to care.
Yeah, and then you can go fire up the grill and watch Breaking Bad after that. It's pretty great.
Absolutely. Slide on the Air Monarchs.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you were a really good athlete, when you were in middle school and high school. But a lot of really good athletes kind of plateau when they get into their high school years. You see those kids on, TikTok or YouTube where they score and they're running around the edge, and they're way faster than everyone else. Eventually everyone kind of catches up. And that was kind of you as well. You were better than everyone else around your year. But when you got to high school, you were still the best. And then when you got to your junior year and senior year, you're still the best athlete out there. What maintained that level, and why were you, better than, a lot of other people in your craft?
I think something that benefited me when I was younger was I wasn't the most like early mature. I always remember that like mom would measure us downstairs, mom and dad would measure us downstairs, and you were always consistently like 2 inches taller than I was in the same grade. So like in 6th grade, I don't know what height you were, but I would have been like 2.5 inches shorter than you. I was always like I wouldn't say a late mature, but I was not as an early mature. And kind of growing up, that really forced me to work harder because there were guys in my grade that were more mature than me. I still remember in 8th grade, they were talking about moving up one of the basketball players in our grade. They're going to move up one of my teammates to 9th grade basketball. And I was so mad that they were going to move him up over me, which at the time he probably was better at basketball. But I was just so mad. And that, like, I still remember that I just went outside and I shot baskets for like 2 hours. It was probably like 8 or 9 o'clock. And I think that really helped me. But yeah, like getting to high school, I think something for me was always knowing that we went to Red Wing High School and that wasn't the best of the best in sports. So I always knew that there were bigger schools with better kids out there. And that really forced me to work hard. Something that I credit myself in is just spending a ton of time in the weight room. And that's something that I've always loved and kind of been one of my passions. So hope to make it a career of mine one day is just like personal training. But I think that's something that really helped me get into college. And then just being in college, just like never being satisfied. I always wanted to be the best. And even if I wasn't the best, I was going to treat myself like I was. And I don't think I really accepted being average or working less hard than anyone else. I always, like, whenever I saw someone staying later after practice than me, I would always get like mad at myself. And then the next day I wouldn't let that happen. I would stay after and do whatever I could to, not necessarily just be the last guy. I'd always try to be productive, but I just didn't like seeing anyone doing more than me. And that really forced myself to work harder.
Yeah. And that kind of leads me into asking the question that kind of relates why I wanted to have you on, for the interview is when you were going to be a senior, you quit tennis to go do track and field. You did a little bit of running, you did the long jump, and then also the triple jump. So when you're talking about going above and beyond and, kind of having that fire from within, that was a strategic decision at the time to improve your athleticism and get faster. Do you ever regret that, being the best, high school tennis player in all of Red Wing, probably for 3 straight years you would have been from your sophomore to your senior year, or I guess your junior and senior year. And then ultimately just trying something new to, self-improve.
Yeah, I don't think I regret quitting tennis for track. I would credit myself playing tennis ultimately to you and Marissa. And that was probably the only reason why I decided to go the tennis route, is because I could play a varsity sport with you, which we ended up playing basketball and football. But I was on varsity in 8th grade, and you would have been a sophomore. And we were able to play varsity tennis together for 3 years, and we had a really good team. And then when you graduated and I was a junior, I was playing one singles, but our team was really bad. Like we rarely won. I mean, I'm playing kids from Rochester, and they're like 7th, 8th graders, and they were beating me. It's like I was good at tennis, but relative to those kids that played all year round, I was still getting beat. And then we got to my senior year and we lost like 2 of our top 3 players. So I was the only one left. And we just weren't going to be very good, which, I mean, I really still really like tennis, but I was like, all right, I mean, I might as well do track. So I was going to go out for tennis and track, and I was going to do them both at the same time. And then once I started looking at the scheduling, I was like, this isn't going to work. Like, there's no way I can like, give my all to either team. And I felt really guilty about if I were to play a sport and not be able to be there all the time. I wouldn't want to play tennis and kind of half-ass it. So I did make the decision to quit tennis. And that was after like 2 weeks of captain's practice. So I was already a captain and I was leading practice, and then I quit. So I felt really bad for those guys. But I mean, at the end of the day, you kind of have to do what's best for yourself. And it's high school tennis. So take it for what it is. But yeah, I ended up doing track and I really enjoyed it. I wish I would have kind of done track maybe a little bit sooner, but I mean, I really enjoyed tennis as well. So I won't knock either. I think I made the right decision, as it helped me play Division I football and then get me to where I am today.
Well, yeah, Travis, I admire, that perspective of, if I'm not able to fully commit myself to something, what is the point of doing it? A question that comes to mind for me, did you ever partake in Red Wingers tennis? I know Isaac was a big proponent of tennis. Did you ever participate in tennis, or are you familiar with what that is?
Yes, every single day. Every single day, the Red Wing high school varsity team had their shirts off at practice. It'd be like 45 degrees in the spring, and we've been inside all winter, and we take our shirts off. I still remember another school pulling up to the high school courts, and all of us had our shirts off, and our coach did not like that.
Well, I mean, that's an awfully PG way of explaining what Isaac has told me what tennis really is. Maybe that was more of an upperclassman thing.
I think some stuff was going on in the Red Wing high school team before I joined, and that was with a different coach. So I can't speak in depth on what his tennis was, but for ours was just taking our shirts off. So I don't know what he was doing.
Well, I would say that's probably a good way to put it. But I do want to bring up, you mentioned college. Obviously you played collegiate football at the University of North Dakota, the Fighting Hawks, formerly the Fighting Sioux, a great institution in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Grand Forks, for those watching from afar, doesn't always get a lot of love. North Dakota doesn't get a lot of love. It's a great institution. You are a college graduate. What would you like to say to people, about Grand Forks, some misconceptions? What is Grand Forks good at, Travis?
I would say Grand Forks was an incredible college town. I'm lucky to have spent 4 years there, and I really enjoyed my time there. We got probably the nicest college hockey arena in the nation. We got some indoor football, incredible practice facilities. They're building some new additions in these next coming years. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time at UND. Overall, as a whole, I know North Dakota gets a lot of hate, which is probably justified, as there's not a lot of stuff there, and it's cold almost all the time. The wind just blows. But I mean, I think I'm a big believer in being positive in whatever situation you're in. So it's like if you go into somewhere having a good attitude, it's like if I'm going to UND to play Division I football, and I'm gonna enjoy it regardless of where it is. And I thought Grand Forks is a great college town. So nothing against Grand Forks. I loved my time there.
And I kind of have a little bit of a precursor question to your time at UND, just because I think it is super beneficial for a high school athlete if they were to listen to this. But when you were coming out of high school, Trav, when your senior year, you were leading the state in receiving yards. but you didn't have any really college looks at all. Like you didn't have any scholarship offers or really any, verbal offers or anything like that until UND came. And, eventually they offered you and you chose that. Looking back at it, if you knew you were going to become the player that you were going to become kind of now, would you have done anything differently with like going out and like putting yourself out there than what you did? Because I mean, you had one offer, you kind of got lucky, kind of.
Yeah. No, I would definitely would do different things if I could go back. First off, I would say there's like a lot of politics in terms of recruiting kids from like smaller schools and big schools. I think the good schools will end up finding you if you're good enough. But if I could go back, I definitely would have been more proactive and reached out to schools. I would say the one thing that kind of stopped me from doing that is I didn't want to play football in college. I was more so looking to play basketball. I played AAU basketball my junior year and I wanted to play basketball. I was talking to some D3 schools that had watched me and they liked me, Concordia being one of them. But yeah, I think advocating for yourself and sending your film out to coaches. I mean, as soon as I would probably say sophomore year is the earliest you could really do it, unless you're an absolute stud playing as a freshman. But sophomore, junior film, just to get on their radar, just say, hey, like, here's my film, here's my stats, my contact information. And then they can keep an eye on you and see how you do. But I definitely think advocating for yourself and reaching out to those college coaches is like definitely something that's extremely important nowadays.
Yeah, I like what you say there about reaching out. There's this perception as somebody who worked in college admission that you're only good if coaches are reaching out to you. But in all reality, sure, if you are a blue chip recruit who ends up playing football at, let's just say, Georgia, yeah, people are going to be reaching out to you. But there's no shame in reaching out to the coach, reaching out to a coach. It's preferred in a lot of ways, and a great way to establish that relationship. And there's no negative connotation with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And you always see those kids with like their height, weight, huddle highlights in their Twitter, Instagram bios, which I honestly like. I don't hate that. I would just say if you're gonna do that, make sure you're not lying on all your stuff, because once you start lying about your stats, saying you run a 4.4 in high school, you're probably going to lose some credibility. So be honest in those things, but definitely advocate for yourself.
I mean, I did that and look where it got me. So I would have to disagree.
D. Young's tennis recruit, 4.35.
Yeah, 4.35, 25 wins over 5-star recruits. Yeah, I was pretty elite.
Love it.
When it comes to like, when you decided to go to the University of North Dakota, and you just mentioned that basketball was your priority for a time. What was your experience? At what point, I should say, did you realize that, hey, football at the professional level might be an option for me?
Yeah. So when I was at North Dakota, I would say it was probably from my junior to senior year. So my freshman year, I had a solid year. Sophomore year, we didn't do very well as a team, and my stats were definitely down. And then I ended up breaking my foot my junior year. So going into that senior year, they fired our OC. We got a new OC who was previously the receivers coach, and he did a really good job. I knew I was going to have a pretty good chance to put up some good stats. And I was kind of like, I'm young. I didn't redshirt. I think I was 21 at the time. It wouldn't make sense for this to be my last year of football, because I felt like I just kept getting better and better throughout college, which kind of stinks when you don't redshirt, because you ultimately want to be playing your best college or your best football while you're still playing. You don't want to peak 3 years after college when you're done playing. So I just kept getting better and better. And towards the end of my senior year, I was like, might as well give this a shot, which I ultimately did. Went home and trained for my pro day, trained up in the cities. And I mean, that kind of led me to where I was, or where I am now.
Yeah. How'd you get invited to that pro day?
Yeah, so that was after, I was training for my pro day at University of North Dakota, and then COVID came in, canceled everything, and I basically went an entire year of just training, kind of getting by as I could. And that next year that came around, I played in the Fan Controlled Football League, which ultimately led me to IFA, which is the current agency that I'm with. and their connection at the time was Rashad Bateman, who was a receiver at the University of Minnesota, and we were both in the same agency, and they were able to get me into the University of Minnesota Pro Day, where there's 30 of the 32 NFL teams there, and Seattle saw me and really liked me, so they gave me a chance.
Yeah. Did you have any contact with Seattle there? Did they have any conversations with you, or did you have any other conversations with any other coaches there?
None, not at all. No one contacted me when I was there because I was like, I had some numbers in my mind that I wanted to hit. I wanted to run under like a 4.7 40, which I ended up running a 4.61 and a 4.9, I believe. But yeah, no one reached out to me for like a month and a half after that. So I was like, I mean, I thought I did well enough, so hopefully someone will give me a chance. And then out of the blue one day, Seattle's like, yeah, we want to fly you out and work you out. So I was like, holy crap. Like I hadn't thrown with a quarterback in probably like a week or two just because there weren't any quarterbacks in the area. I was living at home in Red Wing. So it was definitely a surprise, but I mean, pretty crazy opportunity.
Yeah. And one thing that I really like kind of about the story of Travis Toivonen, thus far in your life is you've done a lot of things and you've experienced a lot of things as well, throughout the last, 3 or 4 years of you and your journey of kind of getting better. I remember you training down in New Mexico for some time during COVID, and there was a quarterback, I think his name is Aiden there or something,
Yeah,
throwing you balls down there. So you're making connections through a lot of different ways. And eventually you want to do something, with training athletes and stuff like that. Do you think some of these connections might pay dividends, in the long run?
100%. Yeah. One of the most beneficial things I would say about having been so many places and having been with like a few different teams is creating those connections with like the strength and conditioning staff. Because I have the contact information for the Giants strength staff, the Vikings strength staff. And then when I was in New Mexico, there's a guy down there named Adrian Gonzalez who runs an incredible gym. Has trained a bunch of professional like UFC fighters and stuff, and they really know their stuff. So just having contact information and making relationships with people that are going to last is just like open so many doors. So when I ultimately want to get into that, and ideally one day open and operate my own gym, I think I'm going to have a lot of references to assist me and make sure that all that goes smoothly and sets me up for success.
Yeah. One person who you met during your time at University of North Dakota was someone who we already interviewed, Ali Ocho Terena, who is your girlfriend. So Ali's a tennis player. Do you think your previous time with tennis and kind of your relationship with tennis throughout your, middle school years, high school years kind of helped you out there?
I definitely do. That was one of our initial talking points because I think it's always, I don't know, there's always this like stigma with males in college thinking they can beat female athletes at their own sport. So it's like if you see a women's basketball player, you're like, yeah, let's go play one-on-one. I think I can beat you. And they hate that. But when I met Allie and we went out on a date, I was like, hey, I actually played high school tennis. I was like pretty good. I would love to go play sometime. And we went on and played. I think she was a little bit surprised. I don't think she actually thought I could play. So we've played here and there throughout the years. And I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I'm pretty athletic, so I can usually make it a little bit of a match, but she still kicks my butt.
Yeah, I mean that's a fun story. And it's a testament. Obviously, this is a tennis podcast, but like it or not, as a tennis player, tennis stays in your life in one way, shape, or form in some aspect. What would you say, Travis? Obviously, you're at a place now where you are farther than the 99th percentile when it comes to football players. Of the thousands upon thousands of football players in this country, you have made it farther than most of them. But tennis-wise, how has tennis and what you've learned from tennis, how is that still a part of your life?
I think tennis is awesome. Tennis is the only individual sport I ever played, which really taught me a lot because I thought I was mentally tough playing football and basketball as a good player. And then once you go out there on the tennis court and you're playing these like 5, 6 kids and they're in like 8th grade and they're kicking your butt, it really teaches you a lot about yourself. So, I mean, I honestly credit tennis a lot to just like developing as an athlete and being the competitor that I am. But yeah, just like having that as being such a big part of my life, and then dating Allie, who I was able to watch play Division One tennis for 4 years, spending a lot of time around you guys, watching you guys play tennis, and watching a lot of tennis like with the North Dakota men's team. I think it's like really built my love for the sport. So I definitely spend a lot more time, I wouldn't say watching tennis, but I like tennis, I think, more than Allie, just because it's been her entire life up to this point, and she just wants to take a step back. But I like to watch it, and I'm excited to watch this Point Break docu series on Netflix. I don't know if you guys have watched it, but I think we're gonna turn it on later tonight.
Break point, brother. Break point.
Oh no, is it?
Yeah, big
I'm
tennis
pretty sure.
guy over here.
Point Break is a movie.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
They had
I'll
one in
definitely
like
Break is a
the
movie.
80s,
research.
and then they redid it like pretty recently. And then
Oh yeah, I'm totally wrong. Break
Marty
Point.
Fish has one that's Breaking Point, I believe. or
Also
something.
very good.
All right.
And a Minnesota native.
All right,
Yeah.
cut that. Yeah, and I think we're actually gonna put on Point Break, that new Netflix docuseries tonight.
You said it wrong again.
What did I?
Yeah.
All right, cut that. Yeah, I think we're gonna put on that Breakpoint Netflix docuseries tonight. Watch some tennis, indulge.
Yeah.
Excited.
Have you heard of anyone, being on that the Break Point? Have you heard of any players or anything that you're excited to see? Or
I saw this one clip earlier. It was like, I think it was from Nadal at the French Open, and they're like, Nadal won the French Open before even stepping on the court, and you could just, I mean, it's just like them in the tunnels and stuff. It's like, dude's just confident. No, he won't. I mean, I'm trying to think of who's the young American guy that you
Fritz,
like. His
Taylor
wife
Fritz.
is like or his girlfriend's like the model.
yep, Taylor
Taylor
Fritz.
Fritz.
Yep, yeah. I saw him on an interview, and then why can't I think of Buddy's name? The dude who always freaks out and breaks his stuff.
Curious.
Nick Kyrgios.
Yeah, Curious. I don't know why I couldn't think of his name. Yeah, but I saw a lot of people kind of roasting him because he was talking like he said something like he's the big dog or something like that, and then he ended up losing. But yeah.
So Travis, I want to ask you a question. As somebody who football is your profession at the moment, and you are a part of a sport that is it's the only sport in the United States of America that has an entire day of the week dedicated to it.
Mm-hmm.
Tennis will never be that in this country, but what can tennis do to become more of a mainstay in society here? What does tennis have to do? Are things like Breakpoint, like, will that help tennis and pop culture in the States? What do you think? What's your take on that?
Yep, I was literally just gonna say that. I think Breakpoint and other stuff like that, where you can kind of get the behind the scenes look at players and what they're doing. I also think that that guy's I don't know his girlfriend's name, but she was like advocating for tennis on TikTok. She's basically posting about like what this stuff actually consists of. And I think people just understanding like what these major tournaments are and like how the prize structure is and how these guys are traveling around the world to play tennis. I just think media stuff like that. It's like after Michael Jordan's documentary, I think like the love for basketball and just like old heads talking about basketball again, like dramatically rose. So, I mean, just being present in media and being present in front of people's eyes, I think is probably the most important thing.
Yeah. And one crazy thing in tennis is it's so hard for players to earn a living and make a living playing tennis.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think that if you're not in the top 100 or a top 150 for men and maybe top 100 or maybe like top 60 for women, you're not making a living playing professional tennis.
Yeah.
And that is one consistent thing among all sports is there's that cusp area. And that's kind of an area that you're kind of in right now where you're trying to battle through, you're trying to break through to get to that practice level squad and earn a roster spot. What are you doing currently to try to get that goal? You've been so close a couple different times. How do you continue to keep working?
Yeah, so I started this season on the Minnesota Vikings practice squad and then was previously with the New York Giants. So being on a team this season, I think really helps me just with that recent relationship. But right now I'm basically just working out and training. And that's kind of the one thing that stinks about being in I would say football is you're kind of training for one season, where I would say in tennis, when you're on that cusp, you're still playing in all those tournaments. They might not be like the major tournaments, but you still get to play. Whereas it wouldn't be smart for me to play as much football as possible because my body just wouldn't last. So, I mean, right now I'm just working out, hoping to get a possible futures contract from an NFL team here soon. And if that doesn't work out, I definitely think I would be looking at like a USFL or XFL route to maybe get back into football because, I mean, I feel like I'm young. My best football is ahead of me. So just staying persistent and having the right habits throughout the whole process, I think is very important.
Yeah. And go ahead, David.
Well, I was going to say, I think you're taking the right approach. You're focusing on things within your control, and you're maximizing your ability and potential with those. What is it like as somebody, again, you're in the 99th percentile of people who have played the sport of football in this country. How do you mentally stay at your best when you've been signed by 3 different teams? And that's got to be a ton of joy, ambition. But then getting cut, that's got to be incredibly tough too. How do you keep the hunger?
Yeah, I've been cut, I think 6 times now, which is, I mean, doesn't feel great, but yeah, I mean, I think just being persistent, it's like I know what I want to do. So there's really no reason for me to not do that, especially while I'm young. And like, this is one thing that you can't put away for a few years and then come back and try. Like, it's pretty much now or never. So just knowing that, it's like, why would I not give it my best shot? And that's something that I think I've done a pretty good job at, is just staying persistent, staying ready, because whenever that opportunity comes, you might only get it once, so you don't want to blow it.
Yeah. And the risk and the reward for, playing professional football is so high, where you could train for 10 years, and if you played for 2 seasons, you're kind of making up for those, 10 years, for example.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I'm kind of interested is, like, at some point, if you make it through and you're kind of on a team, or you're like, hey, I want to focus on something else. When is that point? Because there's not really like a time frame of like someone saying, hey, do you have something in your mind of like, hey, this is when I kind of want to, like, be done, or this is when I want to continue to, kind of fight for my goal?
Yeah, I would say for me, as long as I'm getting NFL opportunities, which hopefully I can get one here soon, that's kind of like what I'm hoping on, but obviously nothing is guaranteed. But I think I would give it a shot at like the USFL, XFL, like I said, and hopefully do really well there and then get another shot at the NFL. But I think I can't really say an exact time right now, but I think when that time comes, it would be pretty clear for me, where it's like, if I'm out of the NFL for 2 years, have played in another league, I'm still not getting looks, it's like probably be 26, 27 at that time. And then I would say, I've had a great career, pretty incredible stories to tell. And then it'd probably be time for me to move on and start my career in personal training and ideally help some other athletes reach their goals.
Yeah. I like that you kind of have that long-term focus of like, hey, I'm gonna do this for a couple more years, because like,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, the best is still to come. Especially, you're getting better, and every time I see you're able to kind of change your physique, and it's crazy what you can kind of do with your body and how much control you have over your body. I think over Thanksgiving, you were like 230 and you were just freaking a rock. You're maybe like 225. And then, you can go, 2-3 weeks later and you're 215 slim. And like, do you feel like you just have complete control over kind of your diet, how you look, all that?
Yeah, I like to eat, which is something that stinks, but it's also like I'll let myself, like you said, over Thanksgiving, I'll let myself enjoy those holidays. But yeah, I would say I'm kind of a don't buy it or else I'm going to eat it. So I usually just don't buy very many things that are going to be bad for me because I know I'm going to eat them. So I like to think that I'm pretty in control over like what I look like at the time, and I'm also very active where I'm not working a full-time job right now. So when I'm not working at the gym, I'm either like going to a gym here and playing basketball, or I'm just lifting some more. So I like to spend a lot of time working out. So if I do have a little bad meal, I'll just go work it off.
Yeah. Travis, what does the phrase deceptively fast mean to you?
Deceptively fast. That's usually a term used by announcers when they see a white athlete and he does something incredible. Deceptively athletic.
Yeah. Would you consider yourself deceptively athletic?
I think I would have to. I think there's a lot of times when you walk into a room and it's like, if there's an NFL player in there, you usually know. We were eating at a restaurant probably a couple months ago, and one of the Packers O linemen walked in, and this dude is just for a lack of better terms, a brick shithouse. Like he walks in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and you're like, that guy plays for the Packers. But for me, I don't think I really get that. I mean, I'm definitely a bigger person, but I'm not like someone who you'd look at and be like, oh yeah, that guy plays in the NFL. So I would say I'm probably deceptively athletic.
You should, yeah, I'd say put that on the LinkedIn.
Deceptively athletic. Add that to my skills.
Yeah.
I remember the FCF announcer.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. I feel like D Youngs, you maybe seen that clip.
I've done my research. No, I remember honestly one of my favorite. I remember your first FCF game. I think it was going over to Isaac's place, and we were watching. You caught a tutty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Was it a game winner?
Yeah, that was that, Travis. That was that insane one that you like cut it over someone and you brought it in.
Yeah.
What should fans? And we'll hang on because we're about to get to it here. There's no challenge, or rather, no power up executed by the Zappers. Instead, it's Smith. As time expires, Smith to the end zone, tossed it up, Toivonen! Oh, Trav Daddy! Hold it in for the dub! Oh, no! Come on, man! Trav Daddy did it again!
You're all going.
I think, yeah, that might have been the third game, but yeah,
it wasn't
fun.
The first, actually.
Good experience. Yeah. Got what's the backhanded complimented by the announcer? They're like, man, if you saw that guy walking down the street, you wouldn't think he's a good football player, but man, look at him.
Who's this fucking accountant catching passes out here?
Dude, I saw a picture of Michael Jordan playing against a guy, and he literally was a politician. Like what? The buddy was working as a politician while playing in the NBA. Like you can't tell me that the NBA hasn't gotten better.
When you were playing in the FCF, Trav, social media was a huge thing. You guys were required to post a couple times per week. And you developed and created, a pretty big and large following, I would say, and pretty good brand image. Where are you at currently with that?
Yeah, I haven't really been active on social media as much as I probably would have liked. I don't know. It's kind of tough sometimes because you kind of have to find that balance between doing those types of things and then also maintaining your reputation and then just maintaining a good image. Because you can't really go on social media and air it out like you'd want to. I mean, you look at some of these guys who are retired and they're saying all this crazy stuff, which really isn't that crazy, but no one who's active can say that. Like if you ever watch kind of podcasts or shows with people who are actively playing sports, everything they say is filtered. So it's kind of like finding that balance. But ideally, I would like to kind of get back on that stuff and post some more things on social media. I think it's a lot of fun and make a little bit of money. So I would say I'm not super active right now, but would like to get back into it.
That brings it up that brings up an opportunity here.
Mm-hmm.
We like to break news on this show, Travis.
Yeah.
This would be great on social media. We'll call it PG-13. The Vikings and the Giants played this past weekend, obviously. And there's been a conversation going around a lot about meat and potatoes head coach Brian Daboll. And if you'd like to share, you can. I'm not going to, obviously, you can if you wish. People have been asking, how long does Brian Daboll spend on the toilet? Because that guy's going to take some monster dumps.
What? Yeah, I have no answer for that. I have no answer for that. Good for him though, dude. Comes in after quite a few bad seasons with the New York Giants and turns that ship around. Like,
Yeah, it's cool to see. I mean, he
yeah,
strikes me as just like, I'm dressed up as a football guy today, but he is a football guy.
he's a football guy.
It seems like he's they always quote Jimmy V on ESPN saying that you should laugh, cry, and think every day. He seems like he's the epitome of that, kind of a Dan Campbell, except his football team wins more.
Yeah.
But I would imagine with him, I mean, what I think makes him the biggest football guy is that, obviously I can't, oh God. NFL season started on 9/11. So obviously, New York, they wear the New York Fire Department hats. Supposed to be a 1-week thing. That guy wears that hat for like 4 weeks. And you have to imagine, they mentioned it on Pardon My Take, like Goodell's office had to have called him and like, Brian, we appreciate your support for this great cause, but man, you got to put on a different hat, man. Like, we got to turn the page.
Yeah, dude, I have no idea. I wasn't on the team at the time, but I mean, like I said, it's pretty crazy. You just turn that ship around in 1 year.
Previously, I made a video about you, Trav, of who is better, certain athleticism and stuff like that. Most of it was physical, athleticism. So I came up with 8 different things that aren't necessarily physical, to see if I am also better at those than you. So I'm gonna see who's better, me or you. So Mario,
are you asking us? Or are you just telling me?
I'm asking you, Trev. So Mario Kart Double Dash.
Me.
No. All right. Who would win in a race? Baby Park, you, me, Noah, Sam.
Most consistently, me.
Who's better at quick scoping in MW2, me or you?
I literally taught you. So
no,
me.
I got better than you though. You taught me, but I eventually got better than you.
Yeah, dude. I would maybe give you that one.
Right.
I remember you used to spend hours on there, and I would go down and put the headset on after you, and the little mic would smell like your breath.
MW3, who's better at multiplayer?
Me, for sure. You had to give me that.
Yeah.
You'd always snipe and say, "Well, I'm not going for KD," but I'd have like twice the KD as you.
NBA Street Volume 2.
I think you used to beat me in that. I'll give you that.
Bring the family, bring the kids, bring the hot dog buns. Junk ball.
Black body. Probably you. You're always bigger than me when you play junk ball.
Bags, cornhole.
Me.
Spike ball.
Me.
All right. That's all I got.
He's like, yeah, you're right.
David, do you have a segment for Travis?
Yeah, so Travis, you've played in the National Football League for the Seattle Seahawks, the New York Football Giants, and the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, you're a personable guy. I'm sure your teammates liked you. And so I wanted to do a little thing called Do You Know Your Former Teammate? So I'm going to give you 2 clues.
Yeah.
And you have to name the team and the teammate. All right? All right. So this first one. This individual is from Charlotte, North Carolina, went to Charlotte Latin School, and his favorite appetizer is a tuna tart.
I mean, it's got to be Daniel Jones because he's from Charlotte.
Okay, yep, very well. Yep,
I actually went down to Charlotte with him this last summer, so
that would be correct. I don't actually know if that's his favorite. I was just reading an article and they said that's what he had as an appetizer. So, but weird guy. Tuna sucks. This next individual is a frequent, actually a weekly guest on K-Fan. You're a Minnesota guy, you know K-Fan, on Dan Barrero's show. And he went to college at Morehead State.
Current Viking?
Correct team.
Morehead State? You're talking Morehead?
Yes, not Morehead as in the Dragons, as in Minnesota.
A frequent on K-Fan? Dude, I don't even know. I'm trying to think of who it could.
You want another hint? Played for the Cardinals.
Yeah, give me one more. Played for the Cardinals? I mean, I'd say Patrick Peterson.
That is correct.
That's right.
Very nice.
I didn't know he went to Morehead State.
Yeah, I didn't either until I Googled his Wikipedia.
Dang.
Unbelievable. This
Pat
last
P,
one.
the vet.
What was that?
I said Pat P, the vet.
Yeah, he's on K-Fan every week. He does like a little segment with Barrero. It's very good. And I'm saying that as a Packers fan, so it's very good. Final one, and I consider teammates. By that, I also mean coaches. This individual was a graduate assistant at Arkansas Razorbacks, the Hogs, John Daly State University, 1977. He has written tennis. Actually, he wrote the introduction for the inner game of tennis. And he likes to chew gum a lot.
Pete Carroll.
All right, very nice. 3 for 3. True football guy over here.
Pete, yeah. Well, that chewing gum gave it away. I didn't know he wrote that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
very personable
great.
guy. Really like him.
He seems like it, and it's crazy to think that Pete Carroll is somebody. We all grew up watching Pete Carroll in the USC glory days of Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Lendell White. And with the energy that he brings, it's crazy to think that he's the oldest coach in the National Football League.
Right. Yeah. You see those videos of him like during, I think it's training camp or fall camp, not fall camp, training camp, when he's like throwing the football around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he wears football gloves out to practice every day. So he's always playing catch and throwing it around. So yeah, pretty cool. He's very active. Keeps you young.
Yeah, a couple of receivers go down. He could lace them up.
I mean, maybe.
Travis, I want to ask you, in your time with the 3 teams that you've been with, obviously, like you're a young adult, you're navigating this thing called life, while also obviously aspiring towards your dreams of playing professional football. Have there been any individuals that have really stuck out to you as, I don't know if mentors is the right word, but people that you've been like, wow, this is somebody that I can have in my corner, or somebody that like I have learned from this person?
Yeah. I would say there's definitely quite a few. Just like being in locker rooms with guys, seeing their work ethic. I would say the one knock on me is I haven't been with a team for a really long time. But just like the ones that come to mind right now are CJ Ham and Adam Thielen with the Minnesota Vikings. Lucky for me, I was able to train with those guys for like 2 years at ETS in Minnesota. So I kind of built a connection with them. So when I was able to join the team, I already knew who they were. And they're guys that just work really hard. My locker was right next to CJ's, so I got to talk to him quite a bit. And I mean, they're just true professionals. So seeing those guys come into work every day, it's really beneficial to someone like me who's kind of trying to learn the ways.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I mean, obviously a testament to work ethic and where it can get you. If there's one person that you've spent time with that you would want to babysit your children one day, who would it be?
I'd have to say my guy from New York, Sandro Platzkummer. He's an Austrian. He's on the practice squad with the Giants, but we were roommates this summer, and I still talk to him pretty frequently. So I'm trying to get over to Austria and visit his home. But yeah, really good dude. Probably my favorite teammate I've had.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, you bet. Well, Trav, thanks for talking with Dave and I, and bringing up some good memories from your tennis days back in high school and stuff like that. And I look forward to, you breaking through with one of these teams and, making it big. So thank you, Travis.
Yep. Appreciate you guys for having me.
Do up, diddling, ding dong day.